Hey guys, in this video I'll be making a better Withered Freddy figure from Jazwares, based off of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I wasn't a fan of how Jazwares made the Withered Freddy figure. I found he was a bit too clean and his hands were tiny. So I decided to fix this. I'll also be showing how you can do this as well. So as I said earlier, I found that the original figure's hands were a bit too small and they were closed together but didn't have a microphone. So I went into Blender and printed out the help wanted models on my 3D printer. I made sure they had the right joint and that it fit the figure perfectly, which it did. So I'm going to be releasing these on Cult 3D. As you can see, I made 3 hands, 2 normal ones and 1 with a microphone. These hands work for Withered Freddy and Classic Freddy as they share the same hand model in Help Wanted. Now for one of my biggest gripes with this figure. The lack of paint detail. As you see here, I just started off by painting on some darker brown. I made sure to mix this dark brown with a muted, desaturated brown in order to give the right color that Withered Freddy has in FNAF 2. Be careful not to go overboard with this, as it may make him look a bit burnt, and you don't want an ignited Freddy. I added this dark, desaturated brown to the entire figure except for the lighter colors in his muzzle and his stomach. Your paints don't have to be too thin, as the thicker paint leaves brush strokes that give the fur texture. And as a side note, it's been officially 6 months today that I started making weekly videos, so I'm really happy with that, and you should check out my previous videos if you haven't already. When I moved on to the lighter colors like on the muzzle, I made sure to do some light weathering and slowly build it up, as I don't want to go too overboard and make his muzzle look completely brown like the rest of the figure. For this part here, I use dry brushing to get some better details for the dirt. If you don't know what dry brushing is, it's pretty much getting an old brush and adding some paint to it and then rubbing the paint against some tissue. This removes a lot of the paint and a lot of the moisture. Then with the very little paint that you have on the brush, you just hit the brush against the parts that you want to paint to give it a more weathered appearance. It's also really useful to rub some tissue against the paint in order to smudge it. To make it more accurate to the game, I dry brushed the entire figure. But not all the dirt painting is done. There are still the darker patches that I need to paint. For this, I'd really recommend using a Q-tip and dabbing a bit of it into the paint, and then lightly dab the paint onto the area and smudge it using the other end of the Q-tip. Another thing I disliked about the Withered Freddy figure is he's just reusing the Endo 1 eyes that Classic Freddy uses. You see, this is wrong because his eyelids are supposed to be brown. So what I did is I actually cut some paper out, painted them brown, and then added some blue tack to the original eyes. This allows me to add brown eyelids and have them posable. Now, for legal reasons and for stability reasons, Jazwares couldn't have too big or too sharp of holes in the figures, as seen with Foxy and Bonnie. so they filled in some of the holes. So I'm just going to paint over them in black to give the illusion that they're fully cut. And lastly, I added some wires from some old headphones, cut them up and glued them into the proper areas of the figure. Thankfully all these parts split into two, so it's quite easy to add the wires inside the shell of the animatronic. So here he is, the new and improved Withered Freddy action figure, using the Jazwares Endo series figure. The new paint job really makes Freddy look withered instead of just slightly dirty. I also think that my 3D printed hands work really well and fit perfectly with the figure. Here he is next to the original. Generally speaking, he looks quite similar, but he's a lot dirtier and has better hands and posable eyelids. Here's a quick side by side of the size comparison between my 3D printed hands and the original. Also, here's what you can do with the posable eyelids. You can make him look half deactivated or fully asleep, or somewhere in between. Let me know, have you seen the new FNAF 2 movie? I watched it today and I thought it was pretty decent, although I didn't like the ending too much. I also got this free poster from the cinema. Let me know if you did these modifications too, and I will have a download link on Cults 3D, so if you want to print these out yourself, by all means you can. It's now been 6 months exactly since I started making custom figure videos every week. So if you like what I do, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below what you want me to make next. Thanks for watching.